Hey guys, what's up? So, let's just get right into the topic, right? Let's not waste any time. A while back, several months back, I made a video on the whole gun debate that's still raging in this country, even though it's not in the news. It's still a debate that's happening all over the place. If you're on Facebook, if you check out, it's any place where memes pop up, sooner or later you're going to see somebody saying something about guns in the U.S. And when I put up the last video I ever did on the topic, I mentioned that I don't really think the issue is the fact that there are guns out there. I mean, that's part of the problem, but the reason why gun violence is an issue is because of a lack of humanity in this country. A major lack of humanity in this country. Now, while people got the point that I was trying to make, some people have stated that it would have been better if I used the word empathy rather than humanity, because empathy is more in line with what I was talking about. Like, the sense of, caring about another individual, realizing their pain, realizing that their life has value. And I agree. Empathy probably would have gotten the point across a little bit better for some people. But I'm going to stick with humanity. And the reason why is because it's not just the gun issue where I'm seeing this to be a problem. It's a general problem in this country. Maybe I'm pretty sure in the rest of the world too, but especially in the U.S. Just this complete lack and disregard and disrespect for just general humanity. Just, seeing someone else as a human being and even recognizing certain human parts and traits of your own self it just seems to get more and more maligned with every passing day. Now, some people might be going, that's not true. As I said before in that video, when you got people who are willing to begrudge poor people just because they're getting something nice to eat, that's a problem. I put it away like, somebody getting food stamps and the usual conservative angry line I hear is like, these people out there getting steaks and lobsters with it. Number one, that shows you ignorance, because anybody who's looked at the money that these people get on food stamps will realize that if that's what they're buying with it, they probably got maybe a week tops before they run out of food, if that's the only food they're buying. And two, okay, let's say they were getting steaks and lobsters. So because they're poor, they're not allowed to have something nice to eat. Now, some people would say that, well, that's an empathy thing. Well, yeah, it's an empathy thing, but it's also the thing of, look, human beings don't like eating gruel and grog. It's a human thing to want to have nice tasting food. To say that, oh, because of this particular position that you're in, you don't deserve that, or that's not something that's important, it's kind of throwing away a part of being human, isn't it? That's why I choose the term humanity. If that's stupid of me, whatever, but that's the term I use. And again, that's just another example. Like, okay, the lack of caring about human life with the whole gun thing. People gunning each other down. It's because they're seeing each other as obstacles in their paths. Or they're seeing their lives as less than nothing. And that's something that's constant, I've noticed, with this the world that we live in, where human life really isn't worth shit. You hear this stuff about human life all the time. Like, we got to preserve life. We got to preserve life. Especially, the pro-lifers, the babies, right? But in actual practice, your life really means nothing. Because if your life was if these people really did care about your life, then having you work more than 8 hours a day and getting stressed out, like making little pay with the 8 hours a day that you're doing, hardly giving you a break in between, and only caring about your productivity is not something that these people would be championing. Your life, the value of your life, isn't just your general health. It's your mental health. It's your spiritual health, for those who care about such a thing. It's your overall well-being, how content you are in the society you live in. Are you living at least comfortably enough so that you're not reaching for pills just to make it through the freaking day? Human lives are considered less than nothing when compared to the bottom line of what you can get out of the human being. People who are employing other people only care about their productivity, their output. How much can you add to my bottom line? Other people see people as like, how can I use them to get ahead? How can I use them to further my career? How can I use them to get that girl or get that guy? Lives mean nothing. People are used as a means to an end. And that's a major problem. And it's not even in the stereotypical ways. Like people can use, like I said, the example I just gave are easy examples to make. People can point at violence. People can point at how people are being exploited. People can look at the current job market, low wages, things like that. The fact that you have to fight for a living wage in this country is just absolutely ridiculous. That's another video for that I need to put up soon. But sometimes it's in ways that are not quite so blatant, like healthcare. Now, when I mean healthcare, I'm not talking about the whole Obamacare thing. No, I'm talking about just general going to the doctor. Like, think about it. If you're sick or you're going through some type of ailment, flu, cold, maybe something more serious, maybe it's like constant pains, maybe it's, maybe you got some degenerative disease, maybe worse, maybe it might be something life-threatening, maybe you got cancer or something. Go to the doctor. You get in there, you get maybe a nurse's practitioner, nurse's aide, if you're lucky, maybe a nurse. They get in there and they check your basic vitals. And it's always, why are you here? What are you in here for? Oh, you have such and such? Okay. You have any allergies? What medications are you taking? How long have you had this? What's your weight? What's your, just basic mechanical information. Then you wait a little bit while longer and the doctor comes in with the clipboard full of the stuff that you already told the other person. And they're like, okay, so, just clarify for a bit. Why are you here? How do you feel? How long have you had this? Okay, so according to what you just told me and the meds you're taking, I recommend you take this prescription, or I recommend this particular treatment, or I recommend you stay in the hospital for this, that. And that's it. And you're out of there. And this is the way we generally handle these things. You just go in there and you say to the doc or the medical people what's wrong with you, or what you're dealing with. And then they yammer at you for the rest of the visit on what you need to do or what you need to take. They give you some script and off you go. Right? That's generally how it's done. Imagine, though, if when you go into the doctor's office, besides those questions, you are then also asked, so, where do you see yourself going with this particular ailment that you're dealing with? What I mean by that is, I'm trying to find the right way to say this. Like, okay, this is how you're suffering. How do you want to deal with this? How is this interfering with your life today? What do you want to be able to do to get back on track? What are you willing to do in order to offset this? Like, here are the options on the table, and which ones do you think you're going to be able to deal with? How do you want to go on with this? Especially if you're dealing with an ailment or some type of disease that could be ongoing. Like something like a cold, the flu. It's pretty easy to deal with. You probably don't need to ask deep questions. But with stuff that's a little bit more long-term, stuff that you might have to live with, stuff that may not have any cure, asking the person questions on the value of their life and how much they want to maintain what value they have left in their life is something that you don't hear. And something that has to do with your health. Health is only seen in terms of your longevity and how much you're able to move around. In other words, your productivity. How much you can add value to the society you're in or to somebody else. Just general mechanistic things, but not you as an individual, what you want to get out of your life. And it's more talking at you. And then it's talking at you saying that this is what you need to do and here's the pills you need to take, because when you get to the doctor's office, many times you're seen as a problem to be solved. Not as an individual who's trying to solve a problem themselves for their own life. Remember, everybody's got their own lives to live. That's the cat. Everyone's got their own lives to live. Everybody's got, their way that they want to live life. Everybody's got their own passions, their own particular hobbies, their own particular interests that they want to pursue, which makes them feel like complete human beings. things like, debilitative diseases get in the way of that. Sometimes people have to live with immense pain every day. It keeps them from doing the things that they want to do. So, and sometimes these treatments that are offered might get in the way even more. So many times this is completely disregarded. It's just, well, you need to come in and do this, and that, and that's it. And then the person gets more and more depressed. Their humanity is not being considered. The value of their own lives are not being considered. Because healthcare, the caring aspect of it, the actually treating the human being in front of you is being bled out. Because now it's a straight up business. They come in, you treat them, you get your money, and that's that. Completely mechanized. My mother, she's been working in healthcare for a long time now. She's a nurse. And she herself has talked about how things have gotten so streamlined and the caring aspect is like all but gone in a lot of major hospitals. They're just, it's just like they get in there, and the whole goal of the hospital is to get these people in quick, treat them quick, and kick them out. Like, in and out times are ridiculous now. Don't give them too much time to recover, or recover at home, damn it. And while recovering at home is not necessarily all that bad, depending on how it's done, the human aspect, like the actual nurturing the person in front of you, just doesn't seem to be there. And I'm pretty sure some people have their own nightmare stories about things that they either have gone through in hospitals or have heard about people going through in hospitals. And that's the sort of thing that happens when the person being seen in front of them isn't treated like, or isn't seen or treated as a human being. And this is yet another example. And it's something as simple as something that we think is as benevolent as healthcare. But yet, even in that, humanity gone. The thing going on with the police, which I need to do a video on, a lot of that happens because the people that they deal with, they don't see them as human beings. And the people definitely aren't looking at the cops as human beings anymore. It's just this constant thing of people being seen as obstacles, people being seen as problems, people being seen as anything other than human, as somebody whose life is worth something. And it doesn't help that our society itself seems to work on the concept that only a few people deserve being able to live a life fully as a human being. As, as somebody who doesn't just function as a cog in the wheel for somebody else to live comfortably, for somebody else to be able to take a step ahead. Everyone else is kind of there for a select few. You're there to help some other company succeed. You're there, to help somebody else get into office. You're a constituent. You're a vote. You're a number. You don't even think about it. These days, you wake up, you got to, quickly get out of bed, probably eat something, if you get the chance, eating something that barely constitutes as a nutritious breakfast, rush out to where the hell you're going, bust your ass for, several hours a day. And these days, people are having a hard time finding a job to begin with, so if you even get a full 8 hours, they consider you lucky. You barely get any breaks in there. If you get tired, it's your ass. Despite the fact that people will get tired. You're a human being. You're an organism. Getting tired is shit that will happen to you. But that's not allowed. Getting fatigued, that's not allowed. Being able to have time to digest your food during lunch, that's not allowed. You're lucky to get half an hour of a break for eating. You used to get an hour. I remember a time you used to get a whole freaking hour. And some people going, well, that's cutting into my bottom line. Fuck you. The economy was doing just fine. It's only because you wanted to squeeze a little more out of these people. And then people wonder why they're depressed. You're working for what? You're certainly not really working for your own particular passions. And you're certainly not seen as being deserving of having those passions. And it's, it could be just something as simple as your passion could just simply be being at home, chilling and listening to music. And you barely have time to do that. Because somebody else feels that they deserve that more than you do. They deserve more time and more resources to devote themselves to whatever the hell it is that they want to devote themselves to. And you don't. You don't deserve that, apparently. And we come up with excuses as why that should be, or blame the individual for why that should be. But their own humanity is not being considered. They're not deserving of their own humanity. It's ridiculous when we think about that. Even movements that want to do better things sometimes fall for this. I hate to dip my toe back into the whole gender thing, because that's a topic where no matter who you talk to, it turns out everybody's a fucking idiot. Depending, no matter what side of the line that they're on. But it's kind of funny to me that even there, your own humanity, like, let's face it, there are certain desires and certain wants and certain needs that all human beings have. And now you're being vilified for having them, depending on how the conversation goes. I don't want to go any further into that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't take much thinking to realize what I mean. If you're attracted to somebody, whether you're male or female, that will be turned against you. It's ridiculous how much of our human selves are we willing to reject for stupid ideals and for other people. In my opinion, this is a major freaking problem that this country, the world, especially a lot of aspects of the Western world, I should say, has. I mean, you see that in the Eastern world as well. I mean, there's people making, excuses for certain negative aspects of the human selves. Like somebody blaming somebody else for their own particular issues, or hang-ups that they may have with the other individual. But by and large, just simply accepting that our lives have value, and there's we should be allowed to express ourselves in our own human ways, in a non-harmful way, of course. But, just being able to live our lives and, enjoy some of our passions and our interests, as human beings, and live comfortable lives, live humane lives, feeling that our lives have value, that they can contribute to society, that we can share our interests and our wants and desires with other people, because we're social creatures. We have a need for that. We have a need for knowing that what we do has value for somebody else, that we can share our lives with other people in some way, and that what we do, contributes to other lives as well as our own, and that even with all our sharing with other people, there's still time that we can have for ourselves to do what we want without being condemned for it. That's like gone. It's completely gone. And that bothers the hell out of me. If you're constantly living a life where you're pretty much nothing but an automaton, a living automaton, and you're seeing other people the same way, is it any wonder we're having the problems we're having? Especially if there's let's face it, you got a class of people who are looking at the rest of them as just rabble, as just, they're none of my concern. These people need to shut the fuck up. They don't know how good they have it. I deserve everything I got. And they're running things? It's not good. And that's a major issue for me. It's something I see as a huge problem. And I'm not so sure what to do about it. I mean, it's very easy to say we need to get humanity back in this culture, but how? I'm not so sure how. I really would like to have a solution to that, but I really don't know how, other than just simply saying that we need to re-question our value systems, what we hold to be high, what we hold to be the most important. We need to re-examine, how we put certain people on a pedestal. We need to re-examine our everything. And that's not an easy task to do, and I don't even know how to begin with that. Sorry to leave this on such a down note, but this is something that, like, especially lately, has been concerning me. Like, people just, we barely function as, like, full human beings anymore. And we don't even treat each other as human beings whose lives have value anymore. And as long as that continues to go on, we're going to continue to have problems, and they're only going to get worse. So I hope that we wake up to that before it's too late. Anyway, enough of that. Catch you guys later.